Everybody. The Rules, Confirmation, and Public Elections Committee will now come to order. Today is Tuesday, February the 5th, and the first item, and I am going to go by the way that we have them on the agenda, if you don't mind. So if I can have the first item referred to Proposition Amendment for Rule 28, if I could have that moved so it could come before us.
Motion. Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded, and I am going to turn it over to our esteemed lawyer to explain that one.
Thank you, Council Lady. One of the sponsors of the proposal, Council Lady Weiner, is here, so I will keep talking unless she wants me to defer to Council Lady.
Bring it on.
So Rule 28 essentially addresses capital spending plans, and council members get resolutions, initial bond resolutions that attach memorandums that spell out essentially the projects that are being funded and the estimated costs of those projects. The proposed revision you should have on your desk. You have the current version, and immediately below that, the proposed revision. It would essentially reformat the rule because it has been added to over the years so that it just follows a more linear line of language. But the three substantive changes would be, number one, there would be an automatic one-time deferral so that council members would be guaranteed a total period of at least 4 weeks for review of capital spending plans, initial bond resolutions. The second substantive change would be, in addition to a description of the project and the estimated cost, it would also provide you, when available, the CIB proposal number. So you could cross-translate what specific CIB proposal is being funded. You may remember that this past October, a crosswalk list was graciously provided by Finance so that you could find each project, the corresponding project in the CIB. So if they have the ability to do that on the same sheet of page that you get, that would be the request. The third substantive change would be you would also have in that same column the council's prioritization list number for where that project fell or perhaps didn't fall on the council's priority list. The only other thing I would add is that there is a proposed amendment by Council Lady Allen, if she's in the room. If not, that would simply add a fourth column whereby certain departments have programs that likewise prioritize projects, such as the Metro Schools Facility Assessment Survey. If a project falls on that prioritization list, the column would list where it falls on that particular program.
Well, it has been moved and seconded, the proposed amendment. Is there any other discussion?
I'd like
questions?
to move the amendment to the proposed rule.
I would second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Abstain? So moved. I am now going to go
And then we
to...
got to vote on the rules.
I'm sorry.
Rules
And then we will vote on this as amended.
One.
That's not... Okay. Do I need a motion for that, or you've
I'll
already
move
moved
it
that?
as amended.
As amended, okay. All in favor? Oh,
Just one
I'm sorry.
discussion item. I want to thank Council Lady Weiner. I think you've been working on this for 9 months, and I'm sure other people have been involved, but thank you for that.
Renew my motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, thank you. All right, now we're going to go to our confirmations, and I am going to beg your forgiveness, please, before we even start on the names that I am really going to screw up. But we will go to Community Corrections Advisory Board and the appointment of Ms. Donna Grayer for the term expiring on August the 31st, 2020. And Ms. Greer will fill the unexpired term of Mr. Kevin McGee. Would you come up, please? Did I do very badly?
No, you did great.
Thank you. Okay, I just have 3 questions that I would like to ask you.
Okay.
Are you a resident of Davidson County?
Yes.
Are you a voter in Davidson County?
Yes.
Do you belong on any more metro boards or councils?
No.
Okay. Then I would like to open it up. Maybe some of my council members would have some questions, comments for you.
So it's my understanding that you've served on this board before.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit why you'd want to come back, other than your love of public service and before coming before us?
Well, I think it's a very unique board. I think I'm really impressed with the work that the commission, the commissioners have done. Case managers are fantastic. They do a hard job. They work really hard. I do feel that they're underpaid. I think they said that I'm not about it.
Any other committee members? Yes.
I'd just like to say that Miss Greer is very modest. I have known her before we were growing up. We grew up together in Memphis. And she comes from a family that has served the community. And
That was me. I was checking to see if you turned it off.
I'm sorry, back to you, council lady.
That's how busy she is. But she has worked probably on every level of the community. She's worked in social services, she's worked in community service, she's worked in mental health, she's worked in psychology, you name it, she's done it. And it's something that's been inbred in her. It was innate. And her being here, probably she's had some of the people that she sees and deal with in the community corrections facilities. She's probably had some personal contact with them. So knowing where she comes from, I personally want to say that I don't think there's anyone who's better fit for this board than Ms. Greer.
Move approval.
Thank you.
Amen.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right.
Sorry about
Thank you very
that.
much and congratulations.
I'm sorry about that. I couldn't. I really called her. I really did.
She's like, meet me out here.
Okay. Next, the appointment of Mr. Justin DeGraw for the term expiring on February the 15th, 2023, and the reappointment of Mr. Thomas Greer for a term expiring on February the 15th, 2023. May I have both of you up here, please? Yes, they are. And do not take your phone out. Okay. I just have 3 questions for you all. Are you both residents of Davidson County?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Are you voters in Davidson County?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Do you belong on any other metro councils or boards?
No, ma'am, I do not.
I'm going to open it up in case my committee members have some questions for you. Any?
Move approval.
All right then. Second?
Second.
Did I hear a second? Thank you. All those in
Actually, we
favor?
have to take them separately, right?
Yes,
Yeah, we do. Okay.
Okay, because one is a because the dates are the same. Okay, so all those in favor of Mr. DeGraw, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Congratulations. Did I look at the wrong one? He smiled. When I looked up, he looked at me and smiled, so I thought it was you did that on purpose.
Well, I was happy for him.
Okay. So, did somebody move the appointment of Mr. Greer? So here a second. Okay. It has been moved and seconded to reappoint Mr. Thomas Greer for the term expiring February the 15th, 2023. All those in favor, please.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I support every
Then
Tennessee.
congratulations, and you get your own congratulations. Thank you so very much.
Here are your free parking passes.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we've got the Emergency Communication District Board, the reappointment of Mrs. Cleo Duckworth to the term expiring February the 14th, 2023. The reappointment of Mr. William Johnson Jr. for the term expiring February the 14th, 2023. And the reappointment of Mr. Elio Trevino.
Mr. Trevino.
Was that Trevino?
Aliud.
Okay.
Keeping an eye on other people.
All righty then. I am so happy the three of you are here. I have my three questions. Are you all residents of Davidson County?
Yes.
Yes. Are you all voters in Davidson County?
Yes.
Do you belong to any other Metro Council boards or commissions?
No.
No? Okay, great. Then I now will open it for any questions in case any of my other council folks have questions.
Move for approval.
Well, I'll make a comment.
Yeah.
That I did read through the people being nominated, and I'm really excited to see the diversity and those being nominated. And I think we're doing a great job when we appoint people to the board. So a nice mixture of people with great experience. So I'm excited that you're willing to serve and glad to see some familiar faces.
Did you as well?
Since all of you reappointment, I would like to hear what was the most challenging thing you experienced during the past term and what you are looking for the next term.
Probably the most challenging is finding money in the budget for our new center. I was quite pleased to go down Murfreesboro Road and see the buildings gone over there, so that's a good move forward. And discussion with the mayor, I think it'll happen. And so we're working every way that we can to help provide that money, the sources, and that'll be our challenge for the year, as well as keeping every person in Davidson County as safe as we possibly can.
I've been one of the guys that's been helping the Hispanic community, and not only Hispanic community, all kinds of other ethnics. And I'm a bridge, to the Anglo with the Hispanics, and a bridge, to other communities and other organizations, to churches and everything. So, because I do the newspaper and other things, I'm also with the U.S. Civil Rights, so.
We all appreciate your service. It's a hard job. Thank you.
Yes, it is.
Did I hear you? Kathleen, did you make a motion?
Yes.
Second.
It has been moved and it is seconded. And for the approval to reappoint Ms. Duckworth.
We can take all the reappointments at once.
Okay, so that is what we will do. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yay, congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Here's your free parking, courtesy of Bob Mendez.
Are they good?
Yeah.
So good to see you. Congratulations. Thank you for your service.
You gotta do each one.
No, you're good. We did you. We got you. Yep.
Yes, yes. I started to, they said no, all together.
All together.
Thank you. So you did all together, you're done.
Good to be here. Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Oh, well, thank you for your service.
next we have the appointment of Ms. Brenda Butker for the term expiring May the 5th, 2019. How are you?
Fun day. Very long.
It isn't very long.
Not just
barely time to get here.
So I have three questions for you. Are you a resident here? Are you a voter in Davidson County? Do you belong on any other commissions or boards of Metro? Okay. And I'm going to open it up now for my committee people if they have a question.
As we're, discussing, your appointment is filling in, unexpected term. So would you commit if we enjoying that 3 months of work, you will be continue your service?
Yes, absolutely.
And what will be your goal? Because I think your background and this board is a great match.
Yes, my background is a little odd. I'm a retired Vanderbilt physician, but we have an organic farm on our property, which is Bell's Bend Farms is on our property. And so we know every darn millennial farmer within a radius. Most of them have lived in our house at one point or another.
What are they growing? I just wonder.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it.
Order.
So I think I've talked to Tasha and we've talked a little bit, and our hope is to get these young small farmers more involved in the downtown farmers market, and there are obstacles to that, which may or may not be able to be overcome. But that's really
Because they're millennials?
no.
Those are the obstacles?
No.
I'd like to move for approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next, we've got the Fire and Building Code, the appointment of Mr. John Collinger for a term expiring March the 1st, 2020. Please come forward. How are you, sir?
I'm well.
Great. I only have 3 questions for you. Are you a resident of Davidson County?
Yes,
Are you a voter in Davidson County?
I am.
And do you belong in any other metro boards or commissions?
No.
And I'd like to open it up in case some of my committee members have questions for you.
I just want to comment, your board is so efficient because you met in January and minute is already up on the website, and really want to thank you for doing a great job.
Move approval.
Second?
It has been moved and approved. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All against? It is unanimous. Thank you,
Free
sir.
parking.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Next, for the Human Relations Commission, the appointment of Charles P. Yazbek III for the term expiring on February the 19th, 2022. How are you, sir?
I'm great. You did a good job on the name.
Thank you. I had good coaches. Are you a resident here of Davidson County?
Yes,
Are you a voter here in Davidson County?
yes,
Do you belong on any other metro boards or commissions?
no.
Okay, well, I'd like to open it up now. Some of my other committee members, I'm sure, will have some questions or comments for you. Sorry. Yes, sir.
So, thanks. Good to see you. I just, Mr. Yesbeck and I have run into each other in legal world, and I know him to be a fierce advocate, and I know that he fights for the little guy, and I hope that you bring that attitude to the Human Relations Commission. I'm sure you will, but please bring that.
I will. Thank you.
I would like to hear, because your background in this committee is a great match, and do you have a specific goal or mission you would like to see, Nashville keep forwarding in that direction?
Well, I think it's important for the community to, conduct itself in a non-discriminatory fashion. And I think I have an insight from the side of an employer, because I've had employees before, as well as from the side of someone, as Mr. Mendez says, fighting for the little guy. So I think it's a great fit, and I welcome the opportunity to work with Mel. So.
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank you for your service and taking the time. I know, taking time out of a busy legal practice, I know it's not easy. It's really not easy. So just thank you for serving the community. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Motion.
Second. It is a motion, and it has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Well, sir, congratulations. Thank you.
Free parking.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Next is the appointment of Mrs. Shayla Paz for the term expiring February the 5th, 2020. And she is filling an unexpired the unexpired term of Ms. Powell.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. Are you a resident of Davidson County?
Yes.
Are you a voter here in Davidson County?
Yes.
Do you belong on any other boards or commissions, metro boards or commissions? No. Good. If you don't mind, we're going to open it up now in case there are some other questions for you.
I have just a quick question. We do have so many different boards and commissions. Why do you pick this board, and what are you looking for to accomplish?
NECAD is have a special place in my heart because that's where I started as a television personality. They taught me how to produce. I had my TV show there for 1.5 years before moving to Telemundo. So when the mayor appointed me, I said, why not? I would love to give back to the community that supported my career.
Move for approval. Second.
Second, third.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
All right, if there's no more discussion, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, there you have it.
Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you.
Kindergarten. My 4-year-old might be watching. I should have heard this in.
Next, I'm going to pass that over to you.
She was
No,
a
I'm
music
sorry.
teacher in kindergarten. I said, my 4-year-old is usually sometimes watching me on television with my mom. I said,
I'm going to pass the gavel over to you. Don't move it too fast so I can't see it.
I bet she knows him.
I'm ready. Okay.
Nancy, can you, Stephanie's looking for Justin, who's with the boards and commissions, in the second row. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, this is Resolution RS 2019-1598, and this is by Council Lady Lee. And of course, it's referred to us, and it provides for the censure of Megan Berry, former mayor of the Metro Government of Nashville in Davidson County. Council Lady, would you like to speak to that?
Well, I am bringing it as the chair of this committee. That's what the charge was, and so I'm bringing it forth and hope that I have a motion on it.
So moved.
Second?
If you
Do
don't
you want to
mind.
tell what it is for the viewing audience?
It is the bill that provides censure against our censure for our former mayor, Megan Berry.
If I may, I was going to ask a few questions of Attorney Jameson, if you don't mind.
I do not mind.
Mr. Jameson, are you back there?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm trying to hide, but
Can you come up here so we can discuss for just a minute on this issue? Do you want to come up here so I can see you, or do you want to sit back there and you?
you want my honest answer to that?
You can stay back there, that's fine. It doesn't matter.
Don't censure him.
That will not censure him. No, so I guess I looked over this ordinance one time. I had never looked at this ordinance before. It's my understanding this is the first time this ordinance has ever been used in front of the council since it was passed in 2007. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I never looked at it, and I took a quick look at it. One thing I noticed is there were not a lot of defined terms in this statute, which one of the terms which is not defined, which kind of bothers me, is public official. When I think of a censure, I think of someone who is in office. Or for attorneys, we have a public censure and a private censure when we're attorneys, and then you move on down the line to disbarment. So I think that's kind of what my concern was with this. The public official, what is the definition of a public official in the statute? Is there one? And if it's not defined, is this statute, the way it's been interpreted, is it saying that anything that any of us do in office, or the mayor, or anybody on any board, in perpetuity, can have something filed against them?
That is a lengthy answer, but I would say this. The board of standards apply to employees, and employees is defined to apply to elected officials and members. Throughout The remaining portion of that chapter, when it refers to members, it appears to be referring to board members and council members. It doesn't define elected officials and doesn't define members. So in answer to your question as to whether or not it applies to a former elected official, this is the first time this portion of the code, 2.222.050, has been much of a thorough exercise. It has simply not been applied since it was initially adopted in 2007. And I think upon a close reading of the entire chapter, there are some drafting concerns. If you look at when they are trying to distinguish between elected officials and members, throughout most of the chapter, they are clear to make certain that this particular rule that they're talking about applies to both members and elected officials. Just a few examples. Complaints can be submitted against, quote, elected officials or members. Prior to hearings, notice is provided to both, quote, members or officials named in the complaint. And if a board decides that someone has committed a violation of the standards of conduct, it refers to the board deciding that, quote, a metropolitan government elected official or member of a board. In other words, throughout most of the code, they are cautious to spell out when they're applying to both elected officials and members. But other sections of the code which spell out the board's duties only refer to members. And you could construe that as meaning they only meant members, not elected officials. To be specific, the board's duties are to investigate members. This is in section 2.222.040A5D. The board's duties
Can I stop you one quick? So can you list what it says this ethical board's duties are, so we know what their duties are?
Well, for purposes of this committee's determinations, the fourth labeled duty, number D, is to conduct an investigation and make recommendation about any member's conduct. I would submit that was probably just poor drafting. They probably meant to say any members or elected officials' conduct, but they didn't do it.
So you don't know for sure?
I can't tell you. And then when it comes to whether or not the resolution to be considered by this committee and by this council applies to elected officials, it begins by pointing out that upon receipt of a recommendation from the Standards Board that an elected official or member has violated, it then goes on to say that the Rules Committee Chair has to file a resolution providing for censure of the member. I'm sure they meant to say member or elected official, but we are stuck with the language as drafted for enforcement, so it is repeatedly unclear. In terms of whether or not it should apply to former elected officials, there are some other practical concerns. This is the same chapter that also spells out other requirements, such as filing the annual disclosures that almost all of you just got through finishing a week ago. If we are to apply that to former elected officials, then do we require former mayors, former council members to submit financial annual disclosures? We currently do not, and I suspect that we were not intended to. There is no statute of limitations submitted within the chapter, and so if this is to apply, if the standards are to apply to former elected officials, could you be charged with an offense years from now? The concern is that if you apply that, that would be the concern. So those are the practical drafting concerns and why I would submit that it is unclear in its application to former elected officials.
Just move to withdraw.
I'm not, Any other discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Council Lady?
For that, I would like to recommend to indefinitely defer this resolution because we followed Ethics Committee's recommendation, which is the chair of this Rules and Commission to file. For that, we are not in violation of their recommendation. And to discuss and to do what to do with the resolution is purview of our committee. And I believe the purpose of the sanction is member or elected official to ultimately resign if finding of any violation of the codes, ethics code, and so forth. So for that reason, I do not think this resolution serves any purpose. And at the same time, we are not violating this recommendation from the ethics board. For that reason, I recommend indefinite deferral for this resolution.
I'll second.
Second? Anyone? Oh, Councilman?
So I'm opposed to that, and
I'm sorry, Councilman, what are you opposed to?
the motion to defer
Oh.
indefinitely. So here's where I'm coming from. I think Mr. Jameson would acknowledge there's a different perfectly reasonable reading of an ambiguous ordinance, and that there's two readings, and I think he would acknowledge that it's a perfectly reasonable reading that if the complaint is made while the person is in office, that the ethics board maintains jurisdiction to resolve the complaint. In fact, the ethics board got legal counsel just to that effect. They had outside legal counsel because Metro Legal was conflicted, and outside legal counsel's advice was that they should go ahead and finish hearing the complaint. So, and I think Mr. Jameson would acknowledge that due to the poor draftsmanship, the interpretation that I just said is just as reasonable as his. And secondly, I think we have to take into consideration here, like, yeah, in this situation, a person went to criminal court, raised their right hand, swore to tell the truth, and admitted a felony. But we could just as easily have a situation where there was no press, there was no conviction, there was no referral to law enforcement, and the ethics board was the one who was resolving the issue. And the day before the ethics board is set to hear the thing, the person loses the courage of their conviction and quits. And then we would have, without media, without law enforcement, without a conviction, there'd be no way for Metro as a government to swing through the pending complaint. And so I know there's a lot of talk about beating a dead horse here, but like the ethics board got independent legal advice to swing through. They did make the recommendation. There is a precedent being set here. Like we could pretty easily make up a fact pattern where somebody without press coverage, without a conviction, without going to court to admit the conviction, swiped $30,000 and quits the day before the ethics board gets to the finish line, and then it just goes poof, like Metro doesn't care anymore. It's off the table because they quit. That, I think, doesn't make sense. And when I read this thing the first time, I read it as if the complaint is made while the person is employee and elected official, the ethics board swings through it. That's the legal advice they got. I know there's political expediencies here to want to say we're beating a dead horse, and I know I've been a voice from the beginning of process over the politics of the whole thing, but I do think, given the fact that we did get a recommendation from a volunteer board that got legal advice to swing through considering it. There are policy considerations, so I don't think we should defer it indefinitely. I'm not going to go through this again on the floor. I'm not really interested in going through it in length now because I don't want to be perceived as beating a dead horse, but I think the process for Metro should be that we should swing through it, but I know other people feel differently.
Councilor Murphy.
So I think that Councilman Mendez makes a fair point. Here we are with a gray area in the code. I think that over the last 3 years, we found a lot of gray areas in the code, especially our legal attorney Jameson has been fabulous at finding things, and Councilman Rosenberg has been fabulous at finding Oxford commas and things like that, and we've cleaned that up, right? And so I think that right now we're in a position where we're having to figure out and really follow through on the legislative intent of a prior body. And that comes with our own biases and our own preconceptions of what that legislative intent was. Also with the good and bad of doing the hindsight 2020, because it's been a year, right? And so it's been a long time that all of this happened, and we've all been through a lot. The mayor's office has been through a lot. The city of Nashville has been through a lot. This council's been through a lot. And so I think when we are faced with gray legislation, that's why it's very important for us to learn from this and make sure that we tighten up everything that we can. And I think it's also a responsibility of ours to have either this committee or some committee look at finishing out that part of the code, making it more clear, defining it, and those types of things, so future legislative bodies are not in the same mud puddle that we're in, of where we may have an opinion on the legislative intent, but we also have an opinion on what should be done, and where are we left with that. And so while I appreciate the points that Councilman Mendez brought up, I do have a problem right now with what I feel the majority of us see, that we are almost saying, okay, you're a private citizen now, but we're still going to censure you. It's a gray area in legislative intent that I'm not 100% comfortable with. So with that, I'll renew Council Lady Johnson's motion.
Prior to that, did I see your hand, Council Lady Dow? Do you have a comment?
No, I don't have a comment on it.
Okay. Okay, would you like to? You don't have, okay.
No.
Would you like to renew
Yes,
your motion?
I respectfully, I respect Council Members Mendes' opinion and assessment. And however, what Council Member Mendes said did not happen the way it could have happened. The fact of the matter is, the elected official, former mayor, has resigned. Elected official, former mayor, has pled guilty of the felony charge. So all these things should have happened if we were to know media and know, report. So we are kind of going in the reverse order. So is it necessary to, with Council Lady Murphy's point. So I think it would be clean to understand the ordinance and charter and where we need to straighten and clarify, we do that. But at this juncture, I think it's our purview too, until we know the intent and so forth, just defer this resolution and then start over for the future incident. So I will renew my motion.
Is there a second?
There's already a second on the table.
Okay, well, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against?
No.
No? Okay, you have only one against, and everyone else is in favor, okay? Okay, well,
So-
the deferral passes.
The indefinite.
Indefinitely referral passes.
So the result of that is that it doesn't come to the floor?
So
It will come to the
bring it
floor with
to
the
the floor,
recommendation
but
of the indefinite deferral. It will come to the floor.
The only two people that can speak on the floor would be,
Sponsor.
I thought pursuant to our rules.
Can we get a ruling from Mike?
Jameson.
So the Rule 24 says if a committee indefinitely defers, it anticipates indefinite deferrals in opposition to the sponsor's desire. But if the committee indefinitely defers by a 2/3 ratio, it is automatically indefinitely deferred, subject to being reintroduced. If it was 6-1, that would, I guess, meet the 2/3 ratio. In conversations with the vice mayor, it would be my interpretation that the rule was intended to apply in those instances. Suppose the sponsor is in agreement with the indefinite deferral, presumably the same rule would apply. That would be my interpretation of Rule 24, but that's in the second paragraph of Rule 24.
So it does not come to the floor?
No.
It does not come to the floor.
And the recommendation was to take this back and clean it up, so it can be reintroduced.
and Mike, can we, just for the record, so everybody, can you make sure that we kind of get some definitions in this, kind of help us redraft this section of the code so that it actually does what it's supposed to do?
Point of information. Point of information.
What is it supposed to do?
Well,
Okay.
Your opinion on what it's supposed to do?
Point of information, may I address it too?
Yeah.
Okay, so help me understand then, because somebody just said that it doesn't come to the floor if it is indefinitely deferred. But then somebody else just said, well, but then that means they can bring it back and we can clean it up. So
No, we were talking
are
about
we
the statute.
talking about cleaning up this particular one that has been deferred now, or are we talking about the statute, which are two different things?
I think Councilman Roden is talking about not the statute, but the code section, the legal language. Correcting the code
My
so that it
recommendation
doesn't
was
have
that either
ambiguity.
this, it wasn't a motion because it's not a motion.
Right.
My recommendation for the chair and vice chair of this committee is to speak to the vice mayor. This is another area of the code that we found as a quagmire. It needs definition, it needs clarification, so future bodies do not sit here with the same legislative intent quandary.
So that was the code part. So with indefinitely deferring this, it is gone, or will it come back? Does it have a chance to come back to the floor?
It's on the agenda tonight. It'll be called, and then you will give a committee report, and the vice mayor will presumably say it is indefinitely deferred and move on to the next item without a vote on the floor. It is subject to being reintroduced by the sponsor at a later date. But this rule was envisioned and created by this particular council in those instances where you had a sponsor of an unpopular bill and a committee indefinitely defers it over his or her objection. And in those instances, the sponsor just can't move forward with it. The question is, in those instances where the sponsor agrees with indefinite deferral, is it still automatically deferred? And I believe in Congress, my opinion would be yes. I believe that was the intent of the rule, and I believe the vice mayor is in agreement as well.
It is.
If I may, one last point,
So where?
if I may. Just for anybody who feels like in the last couple months of the term, they want to bite off fixing the problems here, like I would respectfully submit that almost all the time, you would want, every scenario you could imagine, you would want the ethics board to swing through something, even if somebody quit 12 hours before the hearing. And so
I don't think that's, mine was not sending it to them. Mine was to actually have a code section that has definitions laid out so we know what a public official is, what a member is, and clean it up where it's not so, like it's a quagmire in there when you start reading it. So.
I'm just asking, please don't make the assumption that it's always going to be quit and you're off the hook.
Well, and I would go back and say that this is not a quit and you're off the hook situation. You know, when I think about people who are receiving public censure, it is not in a particular situation as this one, because you have someone who came before this city and admitted their wrongdoing. You had someone that asked for forgiveness. You had someone that went down to the courtroom and pled guilty. They made restitution, and I just don't know what else. You know, we know it was wrong. She knows that it was wrong. I don't know what we could gain from a censure. So that's why I was just trying to figure out from that perspective. I would like to put some parameters around. Like, for example, you said that someone could take $30,000 and quit and not be penalized. In that situation, I think it's appropriate to have some type of tool in place to acknowledge publicly wrongdoing. But I don't know how much more publicly a person can acknowledge your wrongdoing. I really don't know what more a person can do. So I do think I think what has occurred has been sufficient, and I do agree with Councilman Roden about I would like to see some of it cleaned up, because as I read it, and questions I had is, you know, I could leave office 3 years from now and be subject to some type of censure if I decide to do something that I'm not going to, but if something should occur that you felt a need, and I'm no longer a public official, but was, you know, would I be subjected to this type of censure? So I just think we just have, like you said, Councilman Murphy said, and Councilman Rose said, let's clean it up, put some parameters around it, and
So I think the chair is going back on this, so I'm going to go back to where we were. The next thing that I have is a resolution, RS 2019-1599, which referred to the rules and the confirmation and the public elections, recognizes the name of David Ewing for his service to the Metro Nashville Board of Zoning Appeals. And there was a letter to approve.
So move for approval.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those for? Aye. Any against? It has been moved and unanimous, so. 7, so we still have 7 now, okay? Next, honors journalist Joey Garrison.
Hey, he's trying to get out of here, y'all. Get him back in here. Hey, we need you right up here. Come up right up here. Mr. Garrison, could you please? Mr. Garrison, you gotta come up here now.
You guys killed the
Okay.
You don't want to hear us talk about you?
Move for approval. Move for approval.
There's a move to approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
We miss him.
All those for?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, it has been passed. There's 7 of us. Is there any other business before the?
No, 3 more
Yes, sir.
resolution.
Okay, am I missing some stuff?
Yeah.
16.
Oh, my leg, oh, I'm sorry, my vice chair held on to the paperwork.
I didn't realize you gave it all to me.
Okay, so now let's go to approve the sister city relationship with Yes China and authorizing the mayor to execute a sister city charter.
Move for approval.
Second.
Wait, move the amendment.
Proposed amendment. All those in favor?
Aye. Move as amended.
Second.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. As amended. As amended. Okay, 7. Great. Next, I have recognition of February the 2019 as American Heart Month in Nashville and Davidson County.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Alrighty then. And then I have recognizes the grand opening for the Nashville Zoo's new HCA Healthcare Veterinarian, I can't say this, Veterinarian Center on February the 23rd, 2019.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And there was a letter to approve. All those against? All right.
Late file.
Yes, my late files. So there's a resolution encouraging Nashville Electric NES to transition its roundup donation from the customer select to the customer remove policy in order to provide additional funding for NES's House Energy Uplift Program, and further requesting NES and the Tennessee Valley Authority to match the funds resulting from the program. Do you just?
I need to bring something back up.
Not unless it's, I have it right here. It was a late file. Yes.
Okay.
This Rule 28 issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've had an agreement with the administration that we are deferring one meeting.
Oh,
And
We
so
already
that's,
passed it. They were in here, did the same thing.
Yeah, it's gone.
So we can do it on the floor?
They can be done on the
I'll do it
floor.
on the floor, but I was just letting y'all know
All right.
that, because we're working on some other
I'm
language.
sorry, we are on your late file. Would you like to speak to it, please?
Yes. So my amendment, it was filed late, so I'm going to have to suspend the rules, and I was going to ask for your endorsement on me being able to suspend the rules. I'm just basically further clarifying that we want to make sure that people really have information about being able to opt out before the program is implemented. It's very straightforward on the language on the amendment. I think that was the main concern people had, is that what happens if you're elderly, or what happens if you're disabled? How will you know that this plan exists? So we are encouraging, I'm adding language to encourage NES to use any way, any forms, using the phone, letters, newspaper, whatever, and not to implement this program until they have really gone through the process of checking with all the customers.
I don't think we need a motion for this, do we? We need to
No,
agree if it's okay for him to suspend the rules.
Right.
Are we in agreement?
I have no problem.
Okay.
I'm in agreement.
I'm on it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we have another, And we have another late file resolution upon the calling upon the purchasing agent for the metropolitan government of Nashville and Davidson County, following an independent review, to immediately suspend Collier Engineering Company, Inc. Would you like to come speak to that?
I would. I'm going to withdraw that at this time. I think we have audit still in progress, and our chief compliance officer looking at that, and a lot of things in progress in response to some issues that have been raised by the audit, and from some freedom of information requests related to billing. So I think we should, as a body, keep this top of mind because it does have a very significant impact on our, to the negative, I believe, of our Public Works Department. And so I filed it in that spirit as Vice Chair of the Public Works Committee. But I think given where we are in the process of looking at this is, we need to wait on this a little bit until we have more information.
Okay.
So with that, I would withdraw it. Thank you.
All right, next we've got a late file amendment to substitute BL 2018-1441, and it amends the substitution by deleting subsection P in section 6, and someone is going to come and speak to us about that. Would you, Councilman Elrod?
Yes, ma'am. This is the ordinance, a scooter cleanup ordinance, and this will just take out a requirement to have a driver's license scan. I inadvertently put it in there. It wasn't in the previous ordinance that we passed several months ago. I put it in this one, but Walk Bike Nashville, nor Kern with them, reminded me that we don't require a driver's license for a bike, to operate a bike. That driver's license to operate a motor vehicle, and so this would be a disadvantage to those folks that may not want to have a car, want to ride the bus. They would have to go get a driver's license. I think that would be a step too far. We still know who they are through their credit card, through their login information, of how they pay the company, and in some other ways. So that is what the amendment will be doing. And I would ask for your indulgence to allow it to be considered tonight.
And this is also a suspend the rules to bring this up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so are we in agreement to let him suspend the rules? In agreement?
No problem.
Yeah. You got it, sir.
Thank you all very much.
We have another late file, and this deals with the labeled terms and conditions attached to Exhibit 1 to the ordinance. This is Council Lady Gilmore.
Yes,
Would you come
1442.
and, yes. Yes.
Okay, so everything was filed on time, but after much discussion yesterday in the
Nashville Yards?
Yeah, on the Nashville Yards, but I'm wanting to recall the committee. In the budget committee, we kind of all arrived at it would be better to do it in this particular way, just because of the confines we have on the state placed on us on what we can allow or how we interact with private business, and what we can tell them to do and what we cannot tell them to do. So essentially, this just asked because the equal business opportunity legislation has not come into effect. We do want to honor that, though. So this piece of legislation just says, as we continue to work with the Nashville Yards, that they will participate to the best efforts that they can to make sure that minorities and women are included where they can be for those opportunities to get some of that work as it relates to procurement.
Are we in agreement to suspend the rules for this?
Definitely.
We are. There you go.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you, Ms. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
So there was a personnel, public information, human relations, and housing committee did not have a quorum. And so I've got a bill on second reading where that was the only committee. And so I'm going to ask to suspend the rules to be able to proceed on second reading without a committee report.
I have no problem with that.
And I'll ask for that because I would have probably made the quorum, but I was having to chair a committee.
That's right.
Okay, so are we in agreement for that? Okay, and I didn't have this on my paper, so if he asks me, I don't guess he'll ask me if we are in agreement. He'll just go ahead.
Okay.
So I need to know which one it is.
I don't have a problem with it. I was just curious, can it get to the floor without going through a committee since we have the
Suspend
ability?
the rules, right?
I'm just making sure.
Suspend will be great.
Yeah, I mean, this bill on the substance, Metro Finance and IT have already done. It's completely non-controversial.
Gotcha.
All right, is there any other business before this committee?
No.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great job, Madam Chair.
Good job.